This is the DLLS Stars podcast on Monday, June 22nd, alongside Craig Ludwig, Sam Nessler, our producer Ryan Vodders. I'm Owen Newkirk. We're happy to have you here today. Before we get into the big news of the day and all that implies for the Dallas Stars, let's talk about the Cup collection. Luds will have his thoughts about this a little bit later in the show, but if you would like to get in on the fantastic action going on in the summer tournament with some great DLLS merch, go to our website right now, alldlls.com. Check it out. You can get your very own Cup collection t-shirt of your choice, or maybe a couple different versions, because there are more than one host countries of this summer blockbuster. There's actually
Go Ireland.
3. Go Ireland, indeed. Not only are they not hosting, they're not actually in the tournament, but we support the Mexican national team, the U.S. We just apparently ignore Canada.
That's
How about
okay.
that? Yeah, that's all
So
right.
did,
All right.
So did Brady Tkachuk.
Yes, indeed. What a segue, indeed. Sam is on fire, as we're happy to have you here today. Quick note, I'm off tomorrow. I have another engagement conflict. So, speaking of Cup collection, so Luds and Sam are going to be riding without a chaperone, which is always fun, but they have a special guest. NHL Network's very own EJ Raddick will be joining them to talk hockey.
Great timing.
Wonder if you guys will bring up a trade involving the Florida Panthers.
Hey, when you say chaperone, isn't I don't know what the definition of chaperone actually is, but isn't that the one that's supposed to be in control and keep things together? Okay.
Yeah. Try to keep on time, ad breaks. Try not to say too many inappropriate words.
Did you say keep on time or be there on time? What did you say?
No. On time and breaks. Showing up on time is not my forte.
Oh, that's optional.
Yes. Anyway, well, yes, I have no doubt about the fact that if it's for a team bus, Luds, I'll get there. But for other things, anyway. All right, so we talked about Brady Tkachuk. Let's get into this big blockbuster trade that happened over the weekend, and it may have Dallas Stars implications, and we'll get into that in a moment. But let's start with the trade itself. As Brady Tkachuk, the captain of the Ottawa Senators, is no longer an Ottawa Senator, as he was traded to the Florida Panthers and his older brother Matthew Tkachuk, shocker, in exchange for 3 first-round picks and a second. The 3 firsts. 2 of them are in 2026, the 9th overall and the 25th overall, and a conditional 2029 first, along with a 2027 second-round pick, which will be the better of 2 other picks involving either the Winnipeg Jets or Columbus Blue Jackets picks that the Panthers previously acquired. That's another conversation for another day. How do the 2-time Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers that have been going for it still have all these draft picks? Well, the cupboard is bare in other places. So let's talk about this.
I can answer that question. Good GMing.
Is that a shot at the Stars GM? Or is that
not a shot to anybody. I'm just saying that's good GMing. It's going on in Tampa too, right? Good GMing.
Okay. Initial reactions, thoughts, this blockbuster trade that happened on Sunday.
The first instinct I have is when you were introducing what happened there is I think when you mentioned Keith and Brady, you got to start throwing Keith's name into that thing because, but he's the third amigo. I think his dad has a lot to do with those kids, which has served them both well. Here's what I would do. I know where we're going this whole thing, right? It's all over the map. So somebody go ahead and do the math and tell me what 14 Canadian translates into 12.5 American dollars in your pocket without the tax problems. So, I think everybody's going to talk about, the big offer and all that other kind of stuff. But again, there's other things in play. And Robo's not deciding this, but I mean, I think he should have some say in it, which, at that time, I guess you don't have a ton. But, when you look at that, and then you also look at the team and everything else. And so, okay, Robo, I know this is what we're talking about. Do you want to be there and leave what you're surrounded with on this team for money, and I don't know the math on it. Maybe Sam's doing it right now, but it's probably kind of got to be in the same neighborhood. Am I right or wrong on that?
I don't know. Still,
okay.
That's why we have dynamite analysis.
14 million. Is that what you're asking me, Luds?
Yeah, I mean 14 Canadian, and that, but you don't know the tax. You don't know what that bracket is, but it's never good.
It's 9.9 US.
Okay, so I'm sure his representatives have done all this math, and the only and again from the Stars side of things, again they're pretty much in control of this thing, the way I understand. If they want, would you not be, if you're Jim Nill and Jenks, would you not? I mean, if this would even a potential of it, wouldn't it be a sign and trade? Robo, you get an extra year there. You can do it for 8 years because I believe that their management is going to do something that they need to do. And I don't think it's going to be about the picks. I think they're going to flip these. And again, would Toronto take the ninth overall pick or whatever for Matthew Knies? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you're going from Canada to Canada. I mean, I don't know if Chaika would want to move him. It seems like what they're trying to do there, he's a big part of that, but you don't know that. So I just find it all very interesting to see how he goes and flips this whole situation. But at the end of the day, it was something that had to be done. They went to him, this year, and he was not going to commit to re-sign it. So bottom line is, we got to do what we got to do. I think he got a great haul back for him. And I do believe that, between the dad and the sons, they got to go exactly where they want. And all you have to do is go ahead and look at a projected lineup in Florida, and you're going, no, there might, the old, regardless of their ages there. The first thing I thought of too was the Hanson brothers in Slapshot.
Yes.
So can you imagine I don't know who they're playing. I don't think anybody knows who they're playing in opening night.
Schedule hasn't been released yet.
But could you put Tkachuk and Bennett or whoever in the middle of the ice and then get out there and
Sam
watch
Bennett
the
or Brad Marchand
first game on home ice? Does that not send the Florida people, right to the bar?
Luds, I'm glad you said that, because I was doing some math this morning. Speaking of math, Brady, Matthew, and Sam Bennett, if they lined up together, would be 2,311 penalty minutes in 2,011 games.
That's old school hockey right there.
It is.
Sam, what's your initial reaction to this trade before I ask you guys? Luds was starting to get into the Jason Robertson implications.
Yeah, first, Luds said it. The number one thing was he didn't want to come back there long term. He mentioned it. I know there was rumors, and he was trying to deny it, but obviously behind the scenes he had told them he didn't want to sign there. The interesting part to me was your pal Renault was talking about how there was some conversation where the players were not, I don't know that they were wanting him out. It may not be that far, but they definitely weren't saying, no, let's find a way, let's keep him here. It's probably what Luds loves to talk about, a distraction. And you had this distraction going on all the time. They don't want to go forward with a captain that has basically said he doesn't want to stay there. So Ottawa was in a spot where they had to make a move. Now doing it to Florida, I just love the way Florida just takes shots, man. I know you can't always do it, but Vegas and Florida and Minnesota and these teams that just make these splashes and just say, you know what, let's see what happens. It may not work. It may be a massive mistake that we look at 10 years from now and say, well, we really shouldn't have done that, but they just go for it. And looking at that, Ryan, I don't know if you have the lineup that I sent you today. I don't know if you had time to get it on there, but looking at the way Florida can roll out next year now, like they went from, oh man, what's going to happen? Bob's going to leave. Their guys are too old. Marchand's going to be too old. All this stuff going on to now. Is there a team that's more likely to win the Stanley Cup than the Florida Panthers? There it is right there. I mean, just look at the top 9. I'd take that top 9 as my top 6 on any team in the NHL. And that's just,
that doesn't math right.
It's just going to be ridiculous to see how they roll that out. And seeing Brady on another team will be interesting because he's been the captain, right? He's been the leader, but you guys all know I love the way he plays the game. And whereas Matthew has slowed down a little bit in terms of offense, Brady's still right there in that prime of offense as well. So it's a huge ad for Florida.
Yeah, well, when that move was made, Barkov feels better and younger.
Yep.
Bennett is younger. Reinhart is younger. Marchand is younger. Their ages don't matter anymore.
Oh, yeah.
They just got re-energized, and sort of fans, like I said, but they just got re-energized by that move.
I hope it works out really well for their forward group because they don't have a goalie. Not one. They have 0 goalies.
Yeah, but there's a guy in Winnipeg that seems to be flaunting things around out there. So
look out.
Can you imagine if
they don't have the cap space for that? But
listen, how many
doesn't matter
heard that before? Oh no, we can't do that.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll play with like 3 defensemen.
That's all they're gonna need.
It'll be Seth Jones, Aaron Ekblad, and they're going to need a cheap one. Can they go with Forsling and just jettison Nico Mikkola, Dmitry Kulikov, and Uvis Balinskis, or do they need Balinskis on a minimum? So they're just going to have Ekblad and Jones are going to play 55 minutes, and then Balinskis will come in for
all they have to do is just get into the playoffs. They don't have to finish first.
You're right.
Get into the playoffs.
Yep. So the initial thought, of course, is here we go again, because it's a Tkachuk trade from a Canadian team that had to make a move, right? The Flames had to make a move because Tkachuk, I guess, I don't know if Flames fans will feel any positivity towards this, but at least they made it clear, right? They didn't keep it silent, go to free agency, and then just bail. They told their teams, hey, heads up, when it gets to this, I'm probably not going to re-sign. So if you trade me now, you'll at least get something back. The Flames got Jonathan Huberdeau and some other stuff. And so Ottawa gets a massive draft pick haul. And as Lud said, they're probably going to flip that because I don't think the Senators are in the same boat as, say, like Lud talked about the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs might actually take all those and say, hey, we're not going to win the 2027 Stanley Cup. We're rebuilding. They actually
remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about this, and you're like, well, they can't do that, and they don't have the draft picks to do that. Well, for maybe what they got, that becomes part of the deal. Yeah. And let's just say Robo goes there. I mean, let's just say now all of a sudden you get whatever you want back from that team, maybe one piece there, or probably a couple, obviously. But then you take one of those first round picks. Well, then you can see if Chaika wants to take what do they have? A 7th and a 9th? I don't know I know they have a 9th
and 25th was part of the deal.
Do they want a 9th in the first round, right? Yep. For Matthew Tkachuk? That might be a pretty good return. Yeah. You know, I mean, but you can take them picks all of a sudden, and you can kind of, I'm sure that's a huge list of what they want to do on their left side. I keep saying left side. I don't know what they're doing, but anyway, to plug a hole is what I guess.
Sam, when you saw that news, and then you saw, and I think we're going to talk about this in the next segment as well, but there's a bunch of reporting going through the various NHL insiders involving the Senators and Jason Robertson. And the stuff I saw was, again, it's just reporting, so I don't know how valid it is. What I saw was Ottawa is planning on making a big push to try to trade for Jason Robertson. And if that does not work, then they plan on making a massive offer sheet to him. And then I saw this morning, I think I sent it to the group text, from Chris Johnston from The Athletic, who said his understanding is the Jason Robertson camp is not interested in signing a long-term extension with the Ottawa Senators. And so that goes back to were the Dallas Stars at all talking to Ottawa about getting Brady Tkachuk in a trade? Because I have a hunch that if that was going to be a thing, Ottawa would want as Lud said, a sign and trade, 8-year extension for Robertson and then trade. But if Robertson is being approached, or his camp is, hey, we're looking at a trade, would you sign an 8-year deal to go to Ottawa? Because now he's locked in, right? Yep. At that point, he loses a lot of the control that he's going to have as a UFA in a year from now. And I'm guessing that if the reporting is he's not interested in that, then that the ability to try to do a Brady Tkachuk for Jason Robertson trade pretty much falls apart, right?
Yeah, I guess I imagine that was the biggest topic, because why else would the Stars not be in on this? There's no reason they wouldn't be in the same type of boat of talking about it. They have a player that we all know is the big story and may not be able to sign here. I have to imagine that came into play, because they have to, whether it's a sign and trade, that gives him control right there, right? He's got to sign the contract and agree to do it and go get traded for it. Whereas now they could they could trade him. But again, Ottawa's not going to make that trade without him having a contract. He's going to go there for a year and then say, okay, like Brady, I'm going to go out of here. And that's a huge waste for Ottawa. So I imagine that is number one. And that all signs right there. The fact that Brady thing didn't happen. We don't know if it got closer at all. I think that all points to the fact that Jason Robertson doesn't want to go to Ottawa, or at least long-term. And why would he? I mean, no offense to Ottawa, but he's an American. He has 10 other places he'd rather go play. Ottawa's a Canadian team, taxes, all those things that we talked about, but also a team that hasn't won in a really long time.
That's
just
the
lost
thing.
Their captain.
That's it. I don't think, I'm not speaking for Robo. I don't know if American Canadian taxes has anything. They could offer him a Kirill Kaprizov type.
They have $25 million.
They would cover the change in the taxes. It's Ottawa. Well, surging. They've got some young talent. They're not in a place where you can go, I know I can win there. It might be I think I could win there, or we might win there, or maybe I could help be the one that gets them to win there. But it's not oh yeah, we're definitely, it's just question marks. And if you're having that kind of control and winning is important to you, and I think it very much is for Robo, the last thing he wants to do, and we should carry this over because Ryan's already yelling at us.
Let's do it.
I just think that uncertainty probably seals the no from the Robo camp.
And the guy that was going to drag that team to potentially winning is now gone. That's the big one for me.
I said this last show. We're going to find out if this is about money or it's about where you want to play for Robo last show. If he leaves to go to Ottawa for that, it's about money, and it's not really about winning now.
Yeah, and I think it's both. I think it's money, but not all the money, because winning is important. But let's talk about this. We'll carry it over. Lots more to talk about, and a whole bunch more trades and stuff going on in the NHL. Should be a fun show the rest of this way, right here on DLLS. All right, but first, let's talk about this survey. Thank you for being an incredible part of this DLLS community, our family, whether you're tuning in for live shows, podcasts, post-games analysis, or, of course, breaking news. Your support is what makes DLLS possible. We're always looking for ways to improve our content and make sure that we're delivering the coverage you want most. That's why we've launched a quick listener survey, and we'd love to hear from you. Tell us how you watch, what shows you enjoy most, what you'd like to see more of, and how we can make your DLLS experience even better. Your feedback directly helps shape the future of our programming and coverage. The survey only takes a couple of minutes to complete, but your input can have a lasting impact on the content we create every single day. Just head over to alldlls.com/contest and make your voice heard. As an added bonus, everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Once again, thank you for being part of the DLLS community. We truly appreciate your support, and we can't wait to hear what you think. Visit alldlls.com/contest today. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every goal changes everything. And now FanDuel is giving you a reason to root for every single one. Introducing Every Goal Pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. That's right. More goals means more bonus bets. And all you have to do is turn on your token. And a heck of a game, or a bunch of matches today, including Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, three of the best goal scorers in the world. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. 21 and over select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 and over in Washington, D.C., Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY New York, or call 1-877-770-7867 Louisiana. All right, guys, let's continue our conversation with Jason Robertson, the Brady Tkachuk news, and how this all shakes down. I don't know if you heard yesterday or if you listened to it later. I'm positive that Sam did. Jim Nils was on the ticket yesterday with Ryan Baldwin and Bruce Levine, who were doing a Sunday show. And I didn't catch it live, but they posted it on Twitter, so I listened to it later. And Luds, I think you'll get a kick out of this because he really didn't say anything new at all.
Thank you. I said it to Kim. I said it to Kim before I left yesterday. I said, Jim, I just listened to Jim speak for 12 minutes, and he said nothing in the whole thing. I was hoping you weren't going to play any of it because there's nothing there.
No, I just wanted to read a couple of notes I wrote about it after the fact. Was he said status quo, good discussions with the Robertson camp, but no real deadlines. He's giving you nothing. If this is a game of Texas Hold'em, he's not showing you a single card. He's not even letting you turn over the flop, let alone the turn card of the river, right? He is not showing you anything, nor should he, because anything he says in the public sphere at this point can be used by the other side. And it's not to say that their negotiations are at any point contentious, but why give up information for free, right? It's not going to happen.
I mean, it's just the way that he goes about his business. Look at the GM in Florida. Did anybody see this one coming? Look at Breezeball in Tampa Bay. Half of the things that he's done, did anybody see that coming? It's why these guys win these awards for GMs of the year. Is they do their work and behind closed doors, and they do it the right way, and they get the most out of it, and that's why they stay employed for a long time.
And it's why we do so many damn emergency pods, because Jim doesn't give us anything that we can go off of during our show. So we have to do it once it breaks.
So, Sam, the only thought I had about the whole Ottawa thing, as you guys are talking about flipping draft picks, is if for some reason, and I just think this is highly unlikely, because when you listen to Jim, he doesn't say anything. Now, does that mean anything? No, it could mean they trade Jason Robertson tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen. He did say, as he said the whole time, that the priority is to re-sign Robo, and that's what they want. If that's going to happen, which I think is still the most likely scenario, if they were going to trade him and those Ottawa picks were involved or something else, it would have to happen before Friday, right? Because Friday, the first round pick, if you're going to try to move one of those top picks, which and again, not saying that the Stars necessarily want to use those picks to select a player, but if they want to flip them for a Matthew Nyes or whoever else is available, the value of that drops dramatically, at least as far as using those picks, if it's after the draft, right? So wouldn't you think that we're probably not going to, I may be completely wrong here, but it could I see this as nothing happens this week. And if it's going to be we can't get a deal done trade scenario, it's going to happen later.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, all that's right. Obviously, if you have a pick in this year's draft, it's not, unless they think, hey, we're drafting this guy and then we're going to trade that guy. But that all comes into other stuff. That doesn't normally happen. But the other side of it too is
one overall, and I don't think Toronto's doing
like
that.
If someone got McKenna and was like, hey, we want him, maybe that, but that's not going to happen. But the other side of it is they're going to need to offer up. I think his qualifying offers due either that Friday or the next, something like that. So that starts to come into play. I think the reason there's, a deadline, there's really not, right? I think you said it the other week. They could technically let this go all the way out till the end of the year, right? And then figure it all out.
The question of whether he wants to play.
You don't want to do any of that. You don't want to even get into the post-draft qualifying offer arbitration conversation.
The arbitration, I think, is the deadline. That's what they want to avoid.
It makes it messy. It gets, you start, feelings start to come into it. You wonder what side. It's just nothing that you want. So I think that if something happens, it happens before this draft or during this draft is the other option. Right?
I mean, if there's a trade,
even if they sign, I just feel like the Stars would love to get their business done early now. But the problem is they would have probably loved to get it done a month ago. So there's obviously something holding this up. And the more I dig in and the more I hear about it, the more I feel that Robo's camp is kind of staying put. And I don't know what that number is. I don't know if it's 14. I don't know if it's 13. I don't know what the exact number is. But to me,
what if it's 15?
It seems like they know his value and they're not really pushing off of it. Now, it just depends. I wish I had an exact or at least estimated, because if it's 15, he's gone. Because he's not closing that gap down to 12 and a half and signing. If it's 13 and a half, they can maybe get it to 13, 12 and a half. There's wiggle room. But something's holding it up. And I know the Stars would want to get it done soon. So the more, honestly, for Stars fans, the longer this goes, the more worried you should get that something is going to happen that leads to Jason Robertson being somewhere else.
There's no question who's holding this up. I mean, it's not even debatable. I mean, they've had it done. But so here's do you think this team is has a better opportunity to go where they want to go if you move Jason Robertson and you get a top left winger, another pick, and a couple draft picks, another player, and then maybe a couple picks, and you lose Bork? Or is it more important to get Bork done, let Robo go, and then go ahead and figure that out from there? So what you're saying is, I guess what I'm asking is Robo more important than Bork? I know you'd love to get both of them done, but if you can't do that, which one do they value more? I mean, it's hard for me to believe that you don't value a 40-plus goal scorer in your lineup. Now, Maverick Bork, does he, besides his, maybe he's going to get to 25 goals, right? But he's not Matthew Nice. I know I keep using Matthew Nice. He's not him. So I guess that, to me, that's where you got to go, okay, this is what we believe in. We believe that if we get Bork, and we know that we don't know, but we're pretty sure we can get somebody over there to take up 25 to 30 goals to replace Robo, but brings another element to the game for us to get to the next level. That's where I have to believe that's what they're thinking.
So to me, I think I hear that and I say, okay, are you better off or are you just kind of evening the scales?
Who's harder to play against?
Right. I understand that point, but if you flip,
I mean, I'm just asking the question.
If you flip Robo for Nyes, just using the Nyes example, we could pick any top 6 left winger. You haven't changed your problem, right? You might have brought a different solution as far as this player can be a better defensive player. Maybe he's a little bit more physical, what have you, but you still have a gaping hole on the left side of your top 6. It doesn't change. Now, Luds, if you said you can move Jason Robertson, which I don't want to do because he's a 45 goal scorer and those don't grow on trees. But if you could move Robo and bring in, let's say, a guy like Nyes and bring in another top 6 winger and then make sure you get Bork re-signed, that's a difference. That's okay, now we've used this to solve the problem of we feel like we have a hole of not having 2 left wingers in our top 6. And now we do, then I'm willing to listen to that. Sam, do you agree?
Yeah, well, I think the thing that comes into play too is that Robo's value should be enough to do what you just said. It might not be direct. It might not be we're trading Jason Robertson and we're getting 2 top 6 wingers. That's probably not it. But if they were trading him somewhere that they then got all those picks, let's go back to Ottawa, right? Lud's made the great point. A realistic way of doing it would be trading him to Ottawa for a bunch of picks and maybe a player, maybe a serviceable player. I don't know who that is because Ottawa's getting rid of players. But then you look at, we have 2 first-round picks or we have whatever it might be that they got. That then becomes your weapon to go get someone else. So I don't know that it's necessarily 1 for 2 in a direct trade, but you can do it where you kind of pinball it and you're using a third team or you're using the assets that you got from one trade. I think the key that what Luds is talking about with the Bork stuff is it's not that they value Bork more than Robo. Nobody should. That's ridiculous, right? It's a 45 goal scorer, 100 leading most points in the history of his team.
He was first team all NHL at the end of the year too.
He's incredible. No one's saying he's more valuable. I think the key though with Luds is that do they value Robo at 13 million more than they value getting Bork done at 2? I'm just naming numbers here, and then adding another 2 players on it. That's where the value starts to come in. It's not like one versus the other. It's the package and Maverick Bork, and all of a sudden, does that even you out, put you in a spot where maybe you're even or a little less offensively threat, but you have more money to then add later on. What they can't do, the big reason this is all an issue, is they can't sign Jason Robertson for 13 million, trade Lyubushkin, do everything they can, just barely scratch the surface, get Jamie Benn back, and roll this team out with the bare minimum of skaters and still no help on the left wing because you paid Jason Robertson all your money, and now you have Robo and Rantanen.
See, I think that's the most likely solution here. I think that's going to happen.
That's what I keep on trying to say. Exactly what Sam you just summed up is that it doesn't. To me, it's not fixing what the problem is to get past other teams to get into the finals for me. Yep. And I mean, you talk about Nyes, and if you pull any of that stuff up, Nyes can get you 25, 30 goals a year, right? That's what he is. But he's a guy that goes through people. Again, he's more of a Josh Anderson in his prime, where he adds that on that left side, and he's making $7 million. Means you can bring in another player like him, fill in another hole there, or you bring in that defenseman. You say it's a Trouba, say it's a Gudis or whatever, and they're trying to move both of them, or they're not going to be back, whatever that may be. But now, do you shore up your defense core and the whole Myers and all that? What can you imagine having Gudis or Trouba playing next to Bichel? I mean, I'm just saying. Look at who wants to go down either one of those sides.
We wanted Trouba a year ago
to play against. Not in the first 84. Yes, that's redo it, but I'm talking about that time of the year again. So by moving Robo and moving that contract, plus you probably get another pick in the first round that maybe use something else to flip to get one of those guys. But I'm just saying, if you look at the big picture, is Robo the piece and Bork has to go away? I don't know. And you're not, and like you guys are talking about, did we get any deeper? Do we have money left to get any deeper with a quality top 6 left wing?
All right, I want to carry this over. I thought we might do at least 3 segments on this because I have more questions to ask you guys next here on DLLS.
But before we do that, why don't we tell the folks about becoming a diehard? Because there are all kinds of cool things you get when you become a DLS diehard. If you want to get it real quick right now, before I even start talking, QR code was underneath Luds. Now it's underneath me in one of these 2 corners, depending on if I'm mirrored or not. But alldls.com/diehard, you get access to everything that we do at DLS. So writing, not just for myself, but from all of our amazing writers across the teams at DLS. You also get access to, or ad-free when you read the writing as well. You get access to our DLS diehard Discord, which is still probably the best benefit. You get to talk during games with a bunch of other fans. You get to talk about movies, join Stanley Cup playoff brackets or college basketball brackets or fun competitions that we do. We also I'll post my articles a lot of times there first. We'll post exclusive things that we do. We'll get questions from the diehards in the Discord to then ask our guests, whether it's players or staff or whoever it might be, or when Mike Heika joins us like every other week, and you get to join in on that conversation. But then you also get exclusive access to certain events. A lot of times our GM Ben will post events in the Discord before he posts them anywhere else, and they'll sell out. Tickets will sell out right there. So you get access to everything under the sun. Plus, didn't even mention, you get a free shirt when you sign up, $35 value, maybe even more, plus 20% off the rest of the stuff on the site. Flags, hats, shirts, hoodies. Hopefully someday we get some shorts and some flops and some other things. So you can really go head to toe DLS, and 20% off all of the events that we have at DLS. It's all kinds of cool stuff. And all year long we do stuff. So you get everything we do step by step. You're part of the process. No exclusivity out of everything. Join alldls.com/diehard. Join it right now or scan the QR code in one of these 2 corners.
Sam, you forgot to use "Hey Kids" or "What if I told you."
What if I told you?
Other than that, well done. Very well done.
Kids, drink Bud Light responsibly.
Let me ask you guys this. Luds, I know this is just a hypothetical, but I want to get your guys' opinion on this. They talked about if Ottawa couldn't get a trade done, because they are trying to replace Brady Tkachuk and trying to add something. And the reports are that it's Robo. I don't think the Stars are really interested in trading Jason Robertson. I think that would be a last ditch. We can't come to an agreement on a deal, or it's what they want is not going to work on our salary cap. It's going to be too much. And so maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll trade. But let's assume for a minute that that's not the case. And so now Ottawa, they have to use their own picks for an offer sheet. They can't just trade for other teams' picks. That's important. It's Ottawa's picks. Do you think Jason Robertson's camp would go for the ridiculous offer sheet? And I'm not talking about 14 or 15. I'm talking about 17 or 18. Okay, we want to show you we're serious. We're going to give you Kaprizov money. Would that do it?
Who's going to pay that ticket?
If Ottawa said we're going to offer sheet, because the Stars couldn't match. If Ottawa or another team like Seattle's making waves, they could do it. But let's say just for a minute, we'll stick with the Sens. If they said we're going to offer Jason Robertson a contract that we don't think the Stars are going to be willing to match, because they offered him a $12 million contract or something ridiculous. It'd be like, what are you wasting our time? Dallas is offering that, or Dallas will match that. But if they said, hey, we're going to pay you $16 million a year, AAV, or we're going to pay you 17, or maybe we'll give you 17.5, so now you're the highest paid player in the NHL. Do you think there's any chance that Robo's camp actually signs there?
No, that's my point. We're going to know what he's really
Yes.
looking for. Am I looking for money?
What's your hunch? What's your gut tell you on that?
My gut tells me he wants to stay here. And I think he just wants to get – I think you're right. I think if he can get in the 13 neighborhood, 13, because, again, that's more than what he's getting in Ottawa. I mean, at the end of the day, that's more than what he's getting. And then look at the team you're around. You know what I'm saying? Like that team is not going to be poised to make it to the second, third round of the playoffs. Not just because Robo's there. They need a lot more now. I mean, but I just from Ottawa's standpoint, I think they have to. I mean, they had to live through. I don't know who the GM was. Maybe Dorian. Anyway, when DeBrincat was there, they brought in DeBrincat and then he bolted after the very first year. They were going to bring in a 40-goal scorer and then see you later. So I think that they have to make sure that they're bringing in a top player, but then they have to show to their fans that they're going to build their team and we're going to move on. I don't think there's going to be an issue with the fans right now moving on from Brady. I really don't.
Really? I mean, why do you say that?
Because he has said that he wasn't going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I'm staying here. And then there were some things that apparently happened in the locker room to where, because of the whole thing, there were some players there when the DeBrincat thing went down. Is they what I heard is they went upstairs and said, we don't want picks anymore. We want a player here. We want players that are going to help us get to where we want to go. Well, that's even more important now. And so I think that regardless if it's at the same GM or not, that message has, kind of transcended to this group and going, okay, we're okay with Brady leaving, because the way that Brady has been in that room is not the same Brady that was there in the beginning is what we're understanding. And, the Olympics, especially when he came back from the Olympics, now and his buddies and all this other kind of stuff, and he's going to get out. And it sounded like he kind of let it be known. And he was at the end of last year or somewhere. He goes, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. Well, I don't think he's welcome there anymore. So I think a lot of the people now, I think fan-wise, are going to go, you know what? He lied to us. Like, let him go. Let him go chase that thing. We want people to come here. What's really going to happen? Think about it. With this, the way this cap is and everything, and these players being able to leave when they just want to get up and leave, there's only going to be, 8-10 teams in the league that are going to be teams. There's going to be all the others are getting the rest. And what's going to happen is Canada is going to be in tough just because of everything that it's been leading into. I think it's going to be tough on, because of the Canadian dollar and the taxes and the GST and all these other little things that they have there that are taken out of your check.
What's crazy too is the Team USA poll. You just talked about it. A great day to be wearing this hat. I didn't even think about it.
Great day to wear the hat.
It's just crazy to see that all these. I know that Matthew obviously is his brother as well, but look at the list of teams he had on there. There's a lot of Team USA represented in the teams that Brady wants to go to. It's the same with every guy we seem to hear about that's talking about maybe moving. They seem to want to connect to someone they played with, especially now that they go win that gold medal together. Why not go in Minnesota and go play with Quinn Hughes, or why not go and play with Jack, whatever. It's just a crazy dynamic that's kind of shifted with that. And I think with international play that's going to keep coming, I don't know that we've seen the end of it. It might not just be Team USA. You go win a gold with Canada. Maybe you're like, hey, I want to go play with my buddies that we just won a gold with Canada. So it's interesting to see how that shifted. But I think there's no doubt in my mind, because I've already seen videos of sweaters being burned and all those classic things. Brady Tkachuk will be booed heavily in Ottawa because he will be the Matt Duchene, Colorado type of situation. They will never forget. This isn't like you said, he obviously told them, I'm probably not coming back. He gave them some runway, but he also said, I'm staying.
Listen, the Islanders booed John Tavares when he left in free agency to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he did everything as an Islander, right? So that, I think, was better terms than what this will be.
Yeah, they're gonna dislike him there, and I think I'm curious to see how long till Ottawa is a Stanley Cup contender. Are we talking
how long has it been so far? Whatever it's been so far, that's what it's going to be.
Crazy.
Because you're not going to attract those top players. But here's what's happening with this, where the cap and everything is going now, money-wise. These players, your best players that you need to come and take you to get to a certain part of town, they're in control of everything. Look at Larkin. No, I don't want to play anymore. Get me out of here. They hold you up. They're going to hold you up. And so it's where it's going to go. And that's why I say they're going to all want to go like Larkin. He's now kind of saying, maybe, I guess he's added a couple more teams, but they're all American teams. I don't think he's added any Canadian teams
with American players.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is these guys, that's why I believe all of a sudden there's going to be 8 or 10 teams, and I don't know how many of those 8 or 10 teams that are actually teams that can get to the finals are going to be Canadian teams. I will see. I mean, you would think right off the top of my head, Montreal. I mean, again, just because of what they did. But past that, not sure. Toronto's going to take a kick at the can. It seems like, but we'll find out.
So I want to ask you guys one more offer sheet question, because if Ottawa did do that, again, this is a big if, but let's say the Ottawa convinced Jason Robertson's representation and Robo to sign, because everyone says, oh, well, you got to worry about being offer sheeted. That's only if the player agrees and signs that deal, right? It's not like, oh, Ottawa came in and Robo has no decision. He's an RFA. He holds the cards on that side. So let's say they say, you know what, we're going to give you $20 million. I'm just being ridiculous for the overemphasis for the sake of this point. Are you guys okay with losing Jason Robertson for Ottawa's next 4 first-round picks?
I think yeah. Because think about
you're not going to sign him at 20 or 15 or whatever.
Those picks to go and grab a couple of good players.
You could get 2, maybe 3 players for those first-round picks, especially because
easily.
Yeah, especially because I don't see what their picks are, but I know they have the Florida one was what?
They have all of their picks, which is the ones that they would have to use, because you can't use acquired picks in an offer sheet. But they have their first the next 4 years, and then they have this year Florida and Tampa's first, and then they have a conditional 2029 for Florida. They have a ton of draft picks. The only one they don't have is a second this year, but they have 3 thirds, including one from the Stars. But if you look at that, honestly, from Dallas, that's not a threat, right? If you want to offer sheet him especially at that dollar amount. If we were talking earlier about Bork, if you offer sheeted Maverick Bork and you got a 3rd round pick, I think you lose, right? If you lose Maverick Bork and the compensation is a 3rd, that's not good enough. But if you get 4 first, like, I don't want to lose Robo, but okay, you want to give us 4 first? No problem. That's
you've got my feeling is I know that I've got to flip them to make my team better now.
Right.
Because we are in our window now. We keep talking about Robo. To me, all this offer does from Robo's camp is don't stray too far from home. It seems to me that there's a new coach in LA that likes to play an up-tempo, score some goals kind of game. That team doesn't score any goals. And there's a guy by the name of Panarin there. And maybe that's where Robo gets your 14 or 15 for a sign.
They need power play help in the worst way.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying goals. Now, I think the taxes and that, I mean, and you got to deal with everything else in California, but I mean, he's from that neighborhood, right? So
that would make more sense.
If somebody's going to give him the 14 or 15 and Dallas can't go that far, to me, it seems like one of them California teams might have some money to spend. And San Jose's got something like $41 million in cap space.
Yeah, they haven't used a whole lot of it.
Like that.
So I'm just looking at the Kings. Okay, Kings have all their draft picks. They haven't been spending them that much, so they have their 4 first. They could do it. And since we're on the topic, I'm sure that the Sharks have plenty of draft picks. Yeah, they have all 4 there. So they could theoretically make that move. Now, I wanted to make one last point before we get to the ad break. Maverick Bork. I don't believe that Jason Robertson's deal affects the status of Maverick Bork, because I said this, I think, last week on the show. Let's say Maverick does want to get $2 million or 2.5 or something like that. He had 20 goals. He might deserve it. I think that they can probably get him in somewhere between 1 and 1.5. That's a raise. It's modest. It's just a quick one and say, listen, you're going to get yours, but this is what we're going to do this year. Even if it's, nope, we're going to hold out for 2 or 2.5. And you say, well, there's no space. The Stars can jettison, not that they want to, but they can jettison some 3rd or 4th line guys to keep Maverick Bork. And wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you give away a Steele or a Foxa to keep Bork?
Yep.
Yes.
I would.
Yeah. So
the question is though, what his value is, because you're seeing players right now. Look at Edmonton and what players are getting. I'm just worried the numbers are rising faster than the Stars are able to pay them. That's my only concern. Is
I think
if
next
Maverick
year's
Bourque becomes more about.
They'll have a ton of space. They'll have, especially with the Tyler Seguin money coming off the books. I think that unlike the Robo where he's a UFA in 1 year, I think there's a real, hey, let's sign this one. And then I think you can do that with the Bourque camp, which you couldn't do with the Robo camp.
Hey,
I wouldn't be worried about it.
Who did Maverick play with the most this year as far as line mates? Who would you, I mean, it's not Wyatt and Miko, obviously.
No, he was with
Robo.
He was with Robo and Rope for a while.
So here's the other thing that I would look at. Did a portion of those goals that Bourque scored have something to do with Jason Robertson on his side? Now all of a sudden, if Jason Robertson's not there, and credit to Maverick, they're not passes that go directly across to Mav. They were things that were at the net and things that were laying around the front of the net, and that's where he collected a lot of his goals, which that's what we want him to do. So now all of a sudden you're worried about, okay, well, we think and analytically, Robo was in on a lot of that stuff that Maverick did. So that 2022 or whatever he had this year, can he replicate that, not having that particular left winger over there? That's someplace you got to look.
There's layers.
All right, guys, up next, we have a million other things to get to. Trades, signings. We'll start chipping away. It might not be just today. It might be tomorrow or Wednesday, but we'll do it next on DLLS.
This ought to be entertaining. Ryan, let's start with your 26 Cup, whatever, because I know that's Mexico over there, and the green, white, and red. I got it down. It's not Ireland or Africa.
Bravo, Luds.
It's Mexico, right?
Yes.
Okay, I got that one. So anyway, there's a couple cool shirts on there. And then, by the way, I just want to make sure remembers we said this the other day. Per Mike Heika, Jamie Benn is coming back. So we can pull up the bench shirt. There you go. Your captain, it sounds like, is going to be back. He's already training, getting ready.
And you can take Heika to the bank.
Thank you, Mike Heika, for that tip. If it doesn't happen, or if you're not happy about it, write a letter to Hey Mike. He's all for it. Let's go to the DLLS shirt, right? Let's go to that black one, Ryan. We haven't seen that one in a while. And if you haven't seen it, just pull me up. Put me up live, Ryan. Just go ahead, do it. I dare you. Just put me on screen, Ryan. I know you're looking for a button right now and you can't find it. There it is.
There you go.
Look there.
Look at that one. I love that
shirt. Look at that shirt right there. If you don't like
on
that
a hanger,
we got this one.
Look at this guy hanging his shirts.
Not me. I hang my
Hell
shirts up. Yeah, see that right there. There's the other one. Right? And then here's the favorite. There's our favorite one right there. That's a big seller right there.
That's the face off.
Of course, we got sports over everything. I was kind of prepared to get thrown under the bus today and have a 2-minute read, and I don't have a clicker.
How did you know, Luds? How did
Luds? Am I getting close to 2 minutes?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Does Ryan? You can just take me off screen.
You got 20 seconds.
20 seconds, Luds.
20 seconds.
Oh, 20, well, then let's get Robo up here. We got to get Robo up because we've been talking about Robo. Again, collector's edition, or is he back? I mean, if we could flip that around, I believe that the $sign that he actually will take to stay in Dallas is on the back of that shirt. So I think Ryan can work on that for our next show, which maybe tomorrow when we got EJ on, we can flip it around and see what he's really looking for. EJ Raddysh, by the way, tomorrow, he may have a scoop on what's going on.
He may.
Here, just a random thing for you. Good job, by the way, Luds. Just a random thing I just looked up for you, Luds, because I was interested. The lines last year, Robertson, Johnston, Bourque played more minutes together than any other trio. Steele, Johnston, Rantanen was the second highest, which we know how well that one worked out. And then the Quebec line was third, and then Robertson, Hintz, Bourque. So Bourque was part of three different trios that played the most minutes together.
And the Quebec line is very different than the other line he was on, right? Nothing against Oscar Beck and Justin Ritzkovian, but that's a grinder. That's a get in your face kind of sandpaper line. That's not the Johnston, Hintz, or Robo scoring. I mean, look, they were good, but just totally different style. And like Lud said, if he's on the Quebec line for a whole year, maybe he gets 20 goals, maybe doesn't.
He actually had more goals on the Quebec line than he did with Robo and Wyatt. So
unreal.
Who knows?
So let's talk about some of these other news notes that happened over the weekend, but it starts today.
That needs to be part of his negotiations right there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who I play with.
Yeah.
I can score.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys saw this because this is happening while we record today's show. Again, we're recording early today to help out our producer, Ryan, and happy to do that. Ryan's alive.
Oh,
Sam just gave him in memoriam.
Natural.
Connor Murphy has just signed an extension with the Edmonton Oilers. The numbers are 5 years with an AAV of $4.1 million.
Good deal.
And they, over the weekend, the Oilers signed Jason Dickinson, $20 million contract, $4 million AAV, 5-year deal. They originally acquired both of these guys at the trade deadline. And so Edmonton, who we don't yet know officially who their coach will be, but we know basically who their coach will be, locked up 2 of their trade deadline acquisitions in Murphy and Dickinson. What are your initial impressions about these 2 signings?
Both important, regardless of the money, both important. They both, you know, I mean, you can look at them as depth players, but I look at, you know, Dickie's a guy that they need down the middle of the ice that can play defensively and is that kind of player. And where did the start? I know he was the first rounder for Dallas, but what number was he? You guys got that off?
He was taken with the pick. You ready for this?
Oh, you got it.
No, I don't have it in front of me. Go ahead and look it up, Sam. Jaromir Jagr was traded to the Boston Bruins the year that Jagr played for the Stars, and Glenn Gulletson, by the way. And they traded Jagr because the team wasn't looking like they were going to be a Stanley Cup contender. Turned out they missed the playoffs. And one of the conditional picks was for Jagr was if Boston makes the conference final, that went from a second to a first. It did. And so because Boston made the 3rd round that year, they got Jason Dickinson with that pick.
Yeah, 29th overall.
Yep.
Okay, so high second round, whatever.
No, low first round, like last part of the first round.
High second round. What I'm saying, there's only a couple picks after that.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
You're not always right on that. So anyway.
It was a first.
Yeah, I know where it was, but it was a high second round pick. You call it what you want. Well, I get my gum out of my mouth. But I think, and again, sometimes players get labeled for getting mispicked and things like that. Dallas saw something in him, and they didn't expect him to be a 30, 40 goal scorer. They saw a hole that he could fix. Same with Edmonton. So I think Edmonton, because of all of whatever they do, they're high flying and Draisaitl and them and all the goals and shitty goaltending. Jason Dickinson is pretty valuable to that team. I bleep that out. You can bleep it out because we're not live right now. So he's not he's good for that team. And the same thing, again, with Connor, I just think that that's a piece that they need there because they've got a couple guys there that one of them is very offensive minded, as we know. Murphy gets in there. I think he plays some physicality, kills penalties. And I think those numbers are good for him. In today's day, those numbers are good for him.
Luds, can you compare, only because I've heard some people talk about this, can you compare Nils Lundqvist and Connor Murphy?
Who and who, Murphy?
Nils Lundqvist and Connor Murphy.
Well, I think immediately the first thing I think of is in your own zone, you're going to know that you're playing against Murphy from a physical standpoint more than Nils. But I think Nils has got an upside with a little more offense, and that can follow plays up and can initiate a play and bring the puck up the ice. And I think we saw that later in the year from him. I think he played exactly the way he needed to play in the beginning, where Gully trusted him and showed trust in him. And then what I say all the time with those kind of players, you play a certain style and you make sure you take care of that. And then your coaches will be on the bench going, hey, you can give us more. We want you to get up on the puck. I think Nils adds more of that. And I think we're going to see that a little bit more.
At less than half the money, too. That's
yeah, but I'm saying I think from the way that he plays the game and what he can generate, he's kind of under the radar that way. Because, again, everything is focused on Thomas and, Miro and things like that. But Nils is that guy that can add to that. But his game has gotten so much better in his own zone. But from a defending standpoint, Nils has to be in the proper spot more than Murphy because he can't out-muscle some of the forwards that get there. So he has to concentrate on being in the right area of the ice. I think what Murphy can do is he can hit you a little harder. He's going to make it a little bit more difficult to find the front of the net to get good position.
If you guys look, I know we keep bringing up the Tyler Myers stuff, and we will continue to do so. But if Nils is your solid second pairing defenseman with Thomas Harley, which I think that's where it is right now. Yeah. Anything wrong with Tyler Myers at $1.5 million in your third pairing?
My only worry is that the two of them can get in some trouble together. The trees,
sure.
the tree.
But as your third pairing, is that really that bad?
Yeah, it's your third pairing, and here's the key, I think, for Dallas. The third pairing can be that. That's what most third pairings are, right? But with the Stars, they've had too many issues in the top four that the third pairing has become more important, if that makes sense. Where when you don't have nils, when you're not confident in nils and you're rotating guys nonstop, you don't have a top four, which makes then your third pairing guys either move up or you have to play your third pairing more. If you have a legitimate top four, I'm not saying that I love the way Tyler Myers plays, but if you have a top four that you can roll, that you believe in, all four of them, I mean, one of the best top duos in the league, then if Thomas Harley can return, that's a big question, obviously. If he can return at least close to his other form and Nils can play like he did last year, you're looking at a legit top four that you feel you can play out against a lot of teams. That's when your third pairing becomes a lot of, play the little minutes. You got guys who can PK. Hopefully they put these guys on the PK and get Miro off the PK. Then it becomes an easier thing to swallow. The issue is, can they make sure the top four above it is solid? Then it becomes easier. If it's not, then I don't like it, because now you're asking guys to move up again and you're right back where you started.
I've seen enough. I'm just saying. This isn't about the money for me. $1.5 million is good, but did we not see some holes there? I mean,
So would you just prefer
12 to 15 minutes a night?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Holes still going to be there? Are the holes going to be there in the playoffs? And like I said, he's a year older. I'm the one. You guys remember when we were talking about a couple different guys? I'm the one that said, let's get Tyler Myers here.
Yes.
I'm the one. And I
was
didn't
bumpy
watch enough. And so what I see in some of the defending and the way, how he turns to his right and he misses guys. And maybe that's part of just coming to a new team at that point. And he hadn't played
so.
in half. Maybe that's what that is. So
Sam, ask Luds that question again.
Guys for $1.5 million? Maybe. I'm not sure who it is, but you might be able to.
Luds, obviously money aside, because there's contract stuff in Robo and all that. But if you could pick one, Alex Petrovic or Myers.
That pair was a good pair. That pair was a good pair. When Petro, I said, I can go back to the day, the play in the neutral zone, 2 plays, one inside his blue line, where on the coaches are going, whoa, he's feeling a little bit too comfortable here. He's thinking he can, add a little bit of Thomas Harley. And I'm sitting there going, no, don't do that. And again, it's not like he's a 24-year-old kid that you can kind of, now he got away from it when in his 30s here. Now, I do think that if they have that, that's why I asked somebody on the show when we had him on, like, did anybody have that conversation with him and say, listen, this is who you are. This is what we need. We don't need that. We have 3 of those guys, and you're really not as good at it as they are.
Well, so we asked his agent. Didn't.
Yeah. I'd love to ask Naz. I'd love to ask Naz that question, because he was actually really blunt with me and Robert when we spoke to him earlier in the year about Petro's start and about things like different stuff like that. I'd love to talk to him about it before the season starts and just say. But one thing I did notice,
Sam, why don't you reach out to Naz personally? Don't go through the chain of command.
So here's something. So here's something else we could talk about. No, but I saw something interesting. I'm curious. Petrovic posted, or his wife posted something on Instagram tagging the Dallas Stars, and it was like a picture of Petro with his kids in the Dallas Stars locker room, and the Stars reposted it yesterday.
Father's Day.
I just thought that was very
nice
and a little bit random.
Your radar perked up a little bit.
Yeah, it was just one of those where you kind of like.
He's still under contract for another 8 days.
Let's talk about Robo wanting to stay in Dallas.
Yep.
I don't think it's an accident that Robo has been posting all over social media everywhere he's been in Dallas the last couple of weeks. He's been posting a ton.
Oh, it's definitely not an accident.
Rangers. He's at the
How do
World
you
Cup.
think we're going to close the show today? How do you think we're going to close the show today?
How?
Oh, please, everybody, just hang around and watch.
Okay, Luds has got a little plan.
Oh, no. Have a nice summer.
Luds, yeah. Hey, Luds, before we go, I did want to throw one more, because we'll talk about.
You got to go, because unlike you guys, I got to get in my car and drive down to the studio for a little extracurricular activity.
Right. Yeah. Well, I have to drive downtown later today, right during rush hour, but that's for my other thing.
I bet you're not going to be late for that event.
No, I won't be late. The Panthers made another trade Sunday morning. We'll talk about that later. We will talk about the Hurricanes Stanley Cup parade later. But I did want to throw one thing that happened on Friday because we got Ken Hitchcock on. If you haven't watched the Ken Hitchcock show on Friday, Hitch was fantastic. He was fascinating. It was Darren Raddysh, Luds. Darren Raddysh signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs just before 1 a.m. on Friday Central Time with the Toronto Maple Leafs for he actually got acquired. It was a sign and trade or trade and sign 5th round pick for his rights. And then the Leafs signed him 8 years, $68 million, and $8.5 million AAV. Raddysh's previous contract high in his entire career, $975,000. What do you think about the Raddysh money?
Oh, good for him. He had a great year. Look at it this way. I believe that Toronto's power play last year sucked, right? I don't think it was very good considering you got Nylander and you got Matthews. And Matthews, guess which way he shoots and guess where he plays? He plays on the half wall. He's a left shot, and he plays on the left. Sorry. Yeah, I'll help you out here. Yeah. So he's a left shot. He plays on the right side over on the top of the circle there. Raddysh shoots right. What does Nylander shoot? Where does Nylander play? You don't think that power play is going to get better when you got a bomb that he's got a 100-mile-an-hour shot and Matthews? So what are you doing? Pick your poison. Do you want to let Raddysh take that one-timer and let Matthews come off the half wall? Or would you rather say, I don't want him to have it, and now all of a sudden you got Raddysh on the top, and then you got Lee Lander, or whatever his name is, Wee Nilly. So you wait and see that power play from their team last year. I believe that was all by design, is that they wanted him, they overpaid him to get there and have that power play be a main factor in their game. So I think a couple of years ago, their power play was really good. Last year was awful, right? So again, they brought in a weapon. Now, the majority, I heard something the other day, 60-some% of his points came from that Kucherov guy. Kucherov was in on, and again, that would be normal.
He's pretty good.
Power play. So, but he still has some great players out there in Toronto on that power play. So we'll see. All right, some of us got to go because we are getting in this car and driving 40 minutes downtown.
So you do that, Lutz. Sam, you get the last word on Raddysh. There was that hypothetical of the Stars should trade Thomas Harley and go sign Darren Raddysh. And at 8.5, it's a discount, a couple million from what Thomas's contract is, but I don't think that's enough. Like if you could get Darren Raddysh at like $5 million and you had $5 million to spare, maybe even then, I don't know if I like it, but this one doesn't make sense, does it?
No, I mean, Raddysh has tons of upside, but I don't think he's a legitimate, Harley, arguably, the way he has played is a legitimate 2-3, wherever you want to put him. Some people think he may turn into a 1. Raddysh is an upside, Blood said it, hammer of a slap shot.
Is he their 1? Is Morgan Riley going to get traded?
He might have to be, So I don't think it's a apples and apples, as you said. If it's something where they could have made a move and get him for really, really cheap that they could then upgrade on top of that, maybe. But I think they'll stay. Harley deserves another year before people really start panicking about his, if not more. So I think so. But it is crazy to see. The last thing I'll say is expect the unexpected here, because so far this offseason, teams that are making noise that we didn't think would make noise and trades that are happening we didn't necessarily think. So it's been a lot of fun.
We'll talk more about that in the next coming days, because we had more things to bring up around the league than we had time for, which is a good problem, because if we're sitting there going, I don't have anything to say, that makes our jobs a little harder. Sam, great stuff today. You and Luds, enjoy yourselves. Don't burn the studio down tomorrow. And I'll be back on Wednesday, but you guys will have EJ Raddick on tomorrow from the NHL Network. I can't wait to listen and watch that later. So that'll be at 2:00 Central Time tomorrow. For Sam Nestler, for Craig Ludwig, who's furiously getting in his car, for Ryan Vaughters, our producer, I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks for joining us on this Monday, and we will see you tomorrow on DLLS.
Perfect. Thanks, y'all. Y'all have a good summer, okay? You guys are great. Thanks, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.